The explosive rumor that has Nollywood buzzing, when a single video clip turned the internet upside down. Hey fam, welcome back. And if you're just joining us for the first time, abeg don't sneak in like a stranger, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you're part of the crew. Now, something spicy is cooking in Nollywood, and I'm here to serve it hot. Ready? Let's dive in. What really happened when an innocent moment on a movie set becomes the most talked about scandal in Nollywood? How does a playful interaction between an actor and a child spiral into a full-blown controversy that has fans, bloggers, and industry insiders at each other's throats? Well, buckle up, because what started as a regular day of filming turned into the kind of drama that even the best Nollywood scriptwriters couldn't dream up. We are talking about Maurice, Sonia Uche, a little girl on set, and one casual remark that literally broke the internet. The kind of story where you think you know what's happening, but then every new detail makes you question everything you thought you knew. So, are you ready to dive into this rabbit hole of speculation, denial, and social media madness? Because trust me, by the time you finish reading this, you'll understand why everyone from Lagos to London has an opinion about what really went down on that movie set. The whole saga kicked off when a behind-the-scenes video from a Nollywood movie set started making rounds on social media, and within hours, it had gone from a harmless clip to the most analyzed piece of footage since people tried to prove the moon landing was fake. In the video, Maurice can be seen interacting with a young girl who appeared to be somewhere around 5 or 6 years old. The interaction seemed casual enough at first glance, just an actor being friendly with a child on set, right? But then Maurice said something that would launch 1,000 think pieces and debate threads. He playfully called the little girl, "my stubborn daughter," while gently teasing her about something she was doing. And right there in the background, clear as day, was Sonia Uche, standing close by with what some eagle-eyed fans would later describe as a knowing smile, and what others would call just a regular expression that got overanalyzed by people with too much time on their hands. Either way, that single moment was captured, uploaded, and almost immediately became the subject of intense scrutiny that would make Detective Sherlock Holmes proud. Social media did what social media does best, it absolutely lost its collective mind. Within the first few hours of the video circulating, fans had already downloaded the clip, slowed it down frame by frame, zoomed in on facial expressions, analyzed body language, measured the distance between Maurice and Sonia, studied the way the child looked at both actors, and probably consulted their astrological charts for good measure. Twitter threads started popping up like mushrooms after rain, with people breaking down the video like it was the Zapruder film. Instagram comment sections turned into full-blown debate forums. TikTok users created reaction videos with dramatic music and slow-motion replays that made the whole thing look like a scene from a psychological thriller. Facebook groups dedicated to Nollywood gossip went into overdrive, with admins having to create separate threads just to contain the discussion. WhatsApp statuses were filled with screenshots, voice notes, and hot takes. YouTube channels scrambled to be the first to upload analysis videos with titles like "The Truth About Maurice's Secret Daughter" and "Sonia Uche Finally Exposed." The rumor mill was working overtime, running on premium fuel, and showing absolutely no signs of slowing down. Now, let's talk about Sonia Uche's defenders, because they came out in full force like an army protecting their general. These loyal fans immediately jumped into the fray, armed with logic, reason, and a healthy dose of "you need to calm down." They pointed out the obvious, that movie sets are literally filled with children all the time. Child actors, extras, the children of crew members who had to bring their kids to work, relatives visiting, or even just neighborhood kids who wandered by and got pulled into a scene because Nollywood sometimes operates on that level of spontaneity and creativity. They reminded everyone that actors often develop playful, familiar relationships with children on set because, well, they are human beings with hearts and emotions who enjoy interacting with kids. They called out the ridiculousness of assuming that every warm interaction between an adult and a child must mean something scandalous. They posted reminders about how damaging baseless speculation can be, especially when children are involved. They created counter-threads explaining the innocent nature of set dynamics and how what looks intimate or significant on camera is often just professional camaraderie or casual banter. They even shared their own experiences or stories about similar misunderstandings to illustrate how easily things can be taken out of context when you're dealing with video clips that lack proper context and backstory. But then you had the other camp, the theorists, the speculators, the ones who were absolutely convinced that where there's smoke, there must be fire, even if that fire is actually just someone's overactive imagination projected onto a smartphone screen. These folks started digging through archives like they were preparing a dissertation on Maurice, Sam and Sonia Uche's relationship timeline. They pulled up old interviews where Maurice might have mentioned something vague about family or children, and suddenly those innocent comments became evidence of hidden truths. They found Instagram live sessions where Sonia and Maurice appeared together, analyzing their chemistry with the intensity of scientists studying a rare specimen under a microscope. They noticed how they looked at each other, how they laughed at each other's jokes, how comfortable they seemed in each other's presence, and concluded that this level of familiarity could only mean one thing: there had to be more to their relationship than professional collaboration. They created elaborate timelines, cross-referenced appearances at events, noted when they wore similar colors, because apparently that's now evidence of something, and built entire theories on foundations made of speculation, assumption, and what can only be described as creative interpretation of publicly available information. Then came the anonymous bloggers and the so-called insiders, who always mysteriously appear whenever there's a controversy that needs fuel to keep burning. These shadowy figures, hiding behind fake accounts and pseudonyms, started dropping the exclusive information that they claimed came from people who were actually present on the set that fateful day. According to these unnamed sources, the little girl wasn't just any random child. She was allegedly unusually comfortable with both Maurice and Sonia, moving between them with the kind of ease that suggested familiarity beyond what you'd expect from a casual acquaintance. The alleged insiders claimed that the atmosphere on set shifted noticeably after Maurice made his "stubborn daughter" comment, with crew members exchanging meaningful glances and the energy becoming slightly awkward, as if someone had accidentally revealed a secret that was supposed to stay hidden. They described whispered conversations in corners, people suddenly becoming more guarded with their words, and a general sense that something significant had just happened, even if nobody wanted to acknowledge it directly. Of course, none of these claims could be verified, none of these insiders revealed their identities, and nobody could confirm whether these people even existed or were just figments of the internet's overactive imagination, but that didn't stop the stories from spreading like wildfire across every social media platform imaginable. Despite all this chaos, all this speculation, all these theories and counter-theories flying around like confetti at a wedding, one crucial element remained frustratingly absent: any form of official confirmation or denial from the people actually involved in the story. Maurice Sam didn't release a statement. Sonia Uche didn't post a clarification. No publicist issued press releases. No representatives gave interviews. No official social media post addressed the elephant in the room that had grown so large it could probably be seen from space. There were only layers upon layers of speculation, rumor, and assumption building on themselves like some kind of gossip Jenga tower that everyone was both adding to and waiting to collapse. The silence from the principals involved became its own story, interpreted differently by different groups depending on what they already believed or wanted to believe about the situation. The most dedicated fans, and by dedicated, I mean the ones who treat celebrity watching like it's a full-time job with overtime, went back through years of content like archaeologists excavating ancient ruins. They revisited every interview Maurice Sam had ever given, listening for any mention of children, family, or relationships that could now be reinterpreted through the lens of this new rumor. They combed through Sonia Uche's Instagram posts going back years, analyzing captions for hidden meanings, studying photos for clues, looking at who she followed and unfollowed, examining comments she left on other people's posts, and basically turning her entire social media presence into a puzzle that supposedly held the key to the truth. Old statements about wanting to keep their private lives private suddenly became suspicious rather than sensible. Comments about family being important took on new significance. Vague posts about blessings and growth were now interpreted as veiled references to parenthood. The mental gymnastics required to connect all these dots would have qualified participants for an Olympic event, but that didn't stop people from stretching, reaching, and contorting facts until they fit the narrative they wanted to believe. What started as drama between fans of two actors evolved into something much bigger, a full-blown cultural conversation about society's obsession with celebrities' private lives and our collective inability to simply mind our own business. Think pieces started appearing on blogs and websites, discussing why we feel entitled to know every detail about public figures' personal lives, as if their decision to become entertainers somehow surrendered their right to privacy. Social commentators weighed in on how the internet has created an environment where speculation is treated as fact, where anonymous sources are given the same credibility as verified information, and where silence is interpreted as guilt rather than a reasonable boundary. Psychologists discuss parasocial relationships and why fans feel so invested in the personal lives of people they've never actually met. Media ethics professors probably use this whole situation as a case study in their classes about responsible reporting versus sensationalism. The conversation expanded beyond just Maurice and Sonia to encompass broader issues about digital culture, privacy in the age of social media, the weaponization of speculation, and how quickly misinformation can spread when everyone with a smartphone becomes a potential publisher of news regardless of whether they have any factual basis for what they are sharing. As with any good controversy, factions emerge with the kind of organizational structure you'd expect from political parties rather than fan groups. There was Team Maurice, who insisted that their beloved actor was simply being playful on set and that his words were being deliberately twisted by people looking to create drama where none existed. They argued that calling a child, "my stubborn daughter," is the kind of affectionate, joking language that adults use with kids all the time without it meaning anything deeper. They defended his character, cited his professionalism, and accused rumormongers of trying to destroy a good man's reputation for clicks and engagement. Then there was Team Sonia, equally fierce in their protection of their favorite actress, who they believed was being unfairly dragged into a scandal that had nothing to do with her. They argued that her mere presence in the background of a video didn't make her complicit in whatever people were imagining, and that bloggers were specifically targeting her because controversy involving female celebrities generates more traffic and engagement than similar stories about men. They criticized the double standards in how male and female celebrities are treated in gossip culture and called out the misogyny underlying much of the speculation. And then there was the third group, let's call them Team Truth is somewhere in the middle, who suggested that maybe, just maybe, there was some element of truth to the rumors but that it was being exaggerated, distorted, and sensationalized beyond recognition. These folks argued for nuance, context, and the possibility that the situation was more complex than either complete innocence or scandalous revelation, which of course made them unpopular with both of the more extreme camps who wanted everything to be black and white with no shades of grey allowed in the discussion. The silence from Maurice, Sam and Sonia Uche themselves became its own narrative, analyzed and interpreted through whatever lens people prefer to use. Some fans praised their decision not to engage with baseless rumors, seeing it as mature, dignified, and the kind of wisdom that comes from understanding that sometimes feeding the trolls only makes them stronger. They argued that by refusing to address every piece of gossip that circulates, celebrities maintain control over their narrative and don't allow themselves to be dragged into explaining or defending against accusations that have no merit in the first place. Others viewed the silence more skeptically, suggesting that if the rumors were completely false, wouldn't the smart thing be to simply deny them and shut down the speculation before it got out of hand? They interpreted the lack of response as avoidance, possibly indicating that there was something to hide and that addressing the situation would require either lying or revealing truths they weren't ready to share. And then there was yet another group who saw the silence as confirmation, operating on the logic that innocent people defend themselves while guilty people stay quiet, which is honestly terrible logic but has never stopped anyone on the internet from applying it liberally to situations they know almost nothing about. The lack of an official statement thus became like a Rorschach test, revealing more about the interpreter's biases and assumptions than about the actual truth of the situation. Industry insiders, the ones who actually work in Nollywood and understand how movie sets function rather than just watching from the outside and making assumptions, started speaking up to caution against the dangers of baseless gossip. Veterans of the industry, people who had seen countless similar situations blow up and ruin careers or cause unnecessary stress to actors and their families, warned that what seems like harmless speculation to people scrolling through their feeds on the toilet can have real, serious emotional consequences for the people being discussed. They pointed out that actors are human beings with feelings, families, and mental health that can be affected by having their private lives dissected by millions of strangers. They emphasized that children, whether involved in the rumored situation or not, should never be dragged into adult drama and online controversies where their faces and identities become fodder for gossip. They reminded everyone that rumors often spread exponentially faster than corrections or truth, meaning that even if the speculation turned out to be completely unfounded, the damage to reputations could already be done, following these actors around for years and affecting their professional opportunities, personal relationships, and psychological well-being. They shared stories about other actors who had been destroyed by false rumors, whose careers never recovered even after the truth came out, whose families were torn apart by the stress of public scrutiny based on lies. But of course, these measured, reasonable voices got far less engagement than the dramatic speculation and salacious theories, because wisdom and restraint don't generate clicks the way scandal and controversy do. Adding fuel to an already raging fire, alleged screenshots of private conversations and voice notes supposedly discussing the situation started circulating through WhatsApp groups and private messages before inevitably leaking into the public sphere. These digital artifacts, which could have been created by anyone with basic editing skills and 5 minutes of free time, were nevertheless treated by some as concrete evidence supporting various theories about what was really happening. People who wanted to believe the rumors pointed to these screenshots as proof, conveniently ignoring questions about authenticity, source, context, or the possibility that they were completely fabricated. The voice notes were even more problematic, garbled audio that could have been anyone talking about anything, but was presented as insider testimony from someone who was definitely on the set that day and definitely heard specific conversations that confirmed the existence of a secret relationship and child. Of course, these voice notes were always mysteriously recorded in what sounded like a wind tunnel during a hurricane, making it impossible to actually verify what was being said or who was saying it, but that didn't stop them from being shared thousands of times with captions like, "Finally the proof we've been waiting for," and "I told you there was something going on." The fact that unverifiable information was being treated as evidence didn't seem to bother the people sharing it, because in the court of social media opinion, vibes and suspicions apparently count more than actual fact or verified information. What started as drama contained mostly within Nollywood fan circles eventually buzzed those boundaries and spread far beyond the usual gossip consumers. The story reached casual social media users who had never heard of Maurice or Sonia Uche before but were suddenly experts on their relationship status and family situation based on reading 3 tweets and watching a 15-second video clip. International audiences who follow African entertainment as a curiosity or passing interest picked up the story, often with additional layers of misunderstanding and cultural misinterpretation added on top of the already confused narrative. News aggregator sites that scrape content from social media started running articles with increasingly sensational headlines, each iteration getting further from any verifiable facts and closer to pure speculation presented as breaking news. The algorithm gods of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok decided that this was the kind of engaging content that keeps people on their platforms, so they pushed it harder, showing it to more people, creating more opportunities for misunderstanding and misinterpretation. Suddenly, people who had no investment in Nollywood at all were weighing in with opinions, adding their own assumptions and biases to an already hopelessly muddled situation, creating a game of telephone where the story that reached the 1,000th person bore almost no resemblance to the video that started everything in the first place. Amidst all the chaos, noise, and speculation, some voices of reason emerged calling for restraint, empathy, and basic human decency. These reasonable folks, who unfortunately were vastly outnumbered by the gossip enthusiasts, reminded everyone that celebrities are human beings with the same rights to privacy, dignity, and respect that we all expect for ourselves. They pointed out the hypocrisy in how we treat public figures, expecting them to be simultaneously completely open about their lives while also judging them harshly for every decision they make. They emphasized that children should never, under any circumstances, be made the subject of online speculation and gossip, regardless of who their parents might or might not be. They called out the disturbing trend of treating other people's lives as entertainment, as if the actors in this drama were characters in a show rather than real people who would read these comments, see these theories, and be affected by the things strangers were saying about them. They encouraged people to think about how they would feel if their private moments were captured, shared, analyzed, and turned into gossip consumed by millions of people who felt entitled to judge and speculate. They reminded everyone that there's a human cost to clickbait culture and that our consumption of gossip isn't harmless entertainment when it affects real people's lives, relationships, and mental health. On the flip side of the restraint argument, there were also calls for transparency from those who believe that the best way to combat misinformation is to address it directly and clearly. These folks argued that while celebrities certainly deserve privacy, they also have a responsibility to their fans and to the truth to correct false narratives before they become so entrenched that no amount of clarification can dislodge them. They suggested that a simple, straightforward statement from either Maurice or Sonia explaining the situation would immediately end all the speculation and prevent further harm from rumor spreading. They pointed to examples of other celebrities who had successfully shut down false gossip by addressing it quickly and clearly, arguing that silence creates a vacuum that gets filled with increasingly wild speculation. They debated whether public figures implicitly accept some loss of privacy as part of their career choice, and whether that acceptance comes with an obligation to manage public perception actively rather than passively allowing rumors to circulate. They discussed the strategic value of controlling your own narrative versus the dignity of refusing to engage with every piece of gossip that emerges. It was essentially a philosophical debate about the nature of celebrity, privacy, responsibility, and the social contract between public figures and their audiences, happening in real time across social media platforms with all the nuance and thoughtfulness you'd expect from internet discourse, which is to say, not much. So where does all this leave us after weeks of speculation, debate, analysis, and increasingly wild theories? Right back where we started, actually. As of this moment, right now, there is absolutely no official confirmation that Maurice Sam has a daughter with Sonia Uche. None. Zero. Zilch. Everything, and I mean every single thing, that has been said, shared, analyzed, and debated is pure speculation built on assumptions constructed from interpretations of a short video clip and fed by anonymous sources who may or may not exist and screenshots that may or may not be authentic. No official statement has been made by Maurice Sam confirming or denying the rumor. No statement has come from Sonia Uche either way. No family members have commented. No verified sources have provided confirmation. No birth certificates have been produced. No paternity tests have been disclosed. We literally have nothing but a video of an actor calling a child, "my stubborn daughter," in what could easily be playful banter on a movie set, and from that single moment, the internet constructed an entire alternate reality complete with secret relationships, hidden children, cover-ups, and scandals. It's actually kind of impressive in a disturbing way how efficiently we can build mountains of narrative from molehills of actual information. This entire episode serves as a masterclass in how quickly narratives form in our digital age, how easily they spread across platforms and communities, and how incredibly difficult they are to control once they've been released into the wild. A video that could have been scrolled past and forgotten within minutes instead became a weeks-long saga that spawned countless articles, videos, discussions, and debates. It demonstrates the power of social media to amplify whispers into screams, to transform speculation into perceived fact, and to create realities that exist only in the collective imagination of people who have convinced themselves they are seeing patterns and evidence where there might be nothing but coincidence and ordinary human interaction. It shows how our hunger for content, drama, and insider knowledge makes us susceptible to believing things that support our existing narratives while dismissing information that contradicts what we want to be true. It reveals how entertainment has blurred with reality to the point where we sometimes forget that the people we're discussing aren't characters in a script but real human beings whose lives continue long after we've moved on to the next controversy. The most important lesson from this whole situation, the thing that should matter more than any of the gossip, speculation, or drama, is that we need to find a balance between our natural human curiosity and basic respect for other people's humanity and privacy. Yes, celebrities live part of their lives in public, and yes, their careers depend on public interest and attention. But that doesn't mean they've forfeited their right to have private lives, personal boundaries, and dignity. It doesn't mean that every interaction they have should be scrutinized for hidden meanings. It doesn't mean that children should become fodder for internet gossip just because they happen to appear in the background of a video with famous people. And it certainly doesn't mean that we should treat unverified rumors and anonymous speculation as equivalent to confirmed facts. We need to remember that being a fan doesn't entitle us to every detail of someone's life. We need to practice critical thinking, asking ourselves questions like, where is this information coming from? Has it been verified? Am I sharing this because it's true or because it's interesting? Would I want people discussing my life this way? These might seem like simple questions, but in the heat of a juicy gossip moment, we often forget to ask them. So here we are at the end of this wild ride through Speculation Central, and I want to hear from you. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you believe there's truth to the rumors, or do you think this is all just another example of the internet reading way too much into innocent interactions? Have you ever been affected by gossip or rumors? And if so, how did it feel to have people making assumptions about your life? More importantly, do you think celebrities should address every rumor that circulates about them, or is silence sometimes the more powerful response? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, but remember to keep it respectful. We can disagree about interpretations without being disrespectful to real people whose lives we're discussing. And if you found this deep dive into the anatomy of a modern rumor interesting, make sure to like this post, share it with someone who loves Nollywood drama, and follow for more analysis of the stories that get everyone talking. Let's keep the conversation going, but let's also commit to being more thoughtful consumers and sharers of information, especially when real people's lives and children are involved. Until next time, stay curious but stay kind, and remember that sometimes the most dramatic thing you can do is simply wait for the truth instead of filling the silence with speculation. Peace out and one love.